What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another edition of The End Zone along with Cameron Johnson. I am Colby Daniels. What a week it has been. We have high school basketball, state championships going on throughout the state of Oklahoma. We have March Madness right around the corner. Who's in the big dance, who's not? The NBA right now is on fire, especially if you're a Thunder fan and watching what SGA's been able to accomplish. Oh, yeah, and spring football is going on. The NFL draft is right around the corner. This is a very busy time of year. I'm not complaining about it, but it's a lot of fun to have so many things going on right now.
Yeah, if you're a fan, this is like the best time of year, arguably, because, I mean, you've got football in the mix with all of those spring sports. From a media standpoint, there's certainly a lot going on, but, I mean, hey, that's getting to talk about sports. That's fun any day, so. That's right. Bring it on.
Well, I think we got to start with what is the national headline throughout most of this week, and that is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The greatness, I guess, that is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He has put himself in rarefied air. I think you go back to the beginning of the week, that matchup against the Denver Nuggets, which was arguably among the best regular season performances in his entire career on a national stage against a Thunder rival, hits 2 game winners in the final 13 seconds. And we'll get into all that in a moment. But that, I thought, was the perfect way to set the stage for the record breaker against the Boston Celtics Thursday night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander breaks a Wilt Chamberlain record, the second Wilt Chamberlain record to fall this week, scoring 20 or more points in 127 consecutive games now. It was quite the scene. I want to get your take in a little bit about Shai saying that he didn't know how many points he had on the game winner, because I don't know if I totally believe that, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander after the game had a lot of comments about how he got here, the important parts of this streak, and his coach Mark Daigneault contributed as well.
We've won throughout the streak, most importantly, and then I just had so much fun playing basketball in the last year and a half. Probably because I've done a lot of winning, but just like the group of guys, they always make losing lighthearted and winning super fun. And when you stay in the right mind frame, when you stay together, when you're connected as a unit, and just have fun throughout the whole process, you get the best out of things, and that's what this group is.
Yeah, he was obviously great in the game. What an impressive record. I've reflected on it because you get lost in the season. You take for granted what you're watching every night. But number one, surgical with his craft. No one is more precise with their craft than he is. Number two, the whole life of the streak has not prevented us from having a ton of team success, and hasn't prevented his teammates from having success either. So an individual streak that's about scoring has not come at the expense of the team or his teammates. And then great father, great husband, great teammate, treats everybody in the building from top to bottom with dignity. He's obviously a great basketball player, but he's the kind of person that you couldn't be happier for when they accomplish something like this. So huge congratulations to him.
A lot of luck with great people in my corner, people to help me grow, in my skills, people help me to grow with my body, people to help me grow with understanding the game, and then just people to help me grow off the court, family, friends, my wife, my son. It takes a village to accomplish great things. Yeah, all the awards, everything that comes with winning it's a team thing.
Obviously, team success is at the forefront. Thunder were the NBA champions last season. They look like they're potentially on their way to do that again if they're able to get healthy. But, Shai has been a model of consistency. And, look, I'm one of these people that when I first heard about the chase for this record, I'm like, 20 is such an arbitrary number, right? It's so random that we're just picking, what's the record for most 18-point games in a row, or 25, or just, but somewhere along the way, somebody calculated it, saw that Wilt had done it so many times. Shai is now approaching him. To me, it's not necessarily so much about the record, but I think, once again, it's just an identifier of the efficiency of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to do it night in, night out. He's never a guy that is shooting a poor percentage. He's not going 10 of 40 on a nightly basis to get these records. He is he's getting it done at an all-time level over the last 2 years.
Well, and, consistency, that's been his brand. Anytime he talks, he just says consistency. And, that was the ultimate culmination of it all to see him go after that. What I find most impressive, and Coach touched on it a little bit too, is that in doing what he does, he's not taking away from other players. Like, the team as a whole is still really good, and they're seeing all of this success as a group. And I just think that's a really unique thing, because a lot of times you see a player do something like that, and they may be like your main contributor and you're one guy carrying the whole team. That's just not the case, so that's what makes it ultimately even more impressive.
Charles Barkley once said the easiest thing to do in the NBA is be the leading scorer on a bad team, because you're just going to get a ton of shots, and it doesn't really matter because they're not game-winning shots. They're not the type of shots that are creating wins, which are much tougher than being down by 10 and just throwing up shot after shot after shot. He's done it with efficiency. He's done it, I think, in terms of a team win first mentality. Just the other night, he set a career high for assists. I mean, since the All-Star break and really over the last week or so, I feel like we've seen the intensity of these games really ramp up, and it's not really phased him in terms of how he's approached the game. Like, he's gotten closer and closer to this record, but his game hasn't changed in any way.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about him being one of the best players in the league, but I mean, not just even looking at scoring totals, what he does in crunch time. It's like if you're the Thunder, there's no one you feel more comfortable with having the ball in those moments than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I mean, there are a couple of other guys who can deliver like that, but the way Shai does it so consistently under the greatest of pressure, not once but twice in that Denver game in like a 15-second span. I mean, he's a special player to watch.
Yeah. That Denver game, he had 3 big defensive plays, 2 blocks and a steal in the fourth quarter. Again, finding open teammates when he was getting the double team, hitting clutch shots. I personally think he's wrapped up the MVP award. I would be shocked if someone else were to get the award after everything he's done, especially lately with all the clutch performances. And the Thunder now have a 3.5-game lead over the San Antonio Spurs. Once again, different guy every night. And Jay Will just continually, I think, impresses me because he's playing at such a consistent level now. Like, it's one thing to have a team full of these guys that seemingly step up in a big way on a different night. Like, one night it's Cason Wallace, one night it's a different guy, Aaron Wiggins, one night it's Jared McCain. I feel like in this stretch where Jay Will has been able to play a lot of minutes, he's been about as consistent as anybody on the roster.
And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There for the first part of the season, he's kind of like you're off the bench, your hype man and whatnot. To be able to see him come in onto the court and do what he's done, it just goes to show what we've talked about all season long, the depth of this team, and just, I mean, it's really fun to watch.
All right, we got to take a time out. We got to talk some OU football. We met a lot of the OU noobs, coaches, and players. OU Pro Day was this week. That's all next here on The End Zone. All right, welcome back to the show. Along with Cameron Johnson, I am Colby Daniels. OU football has been busy this week as we were introduced to the new assistant coaches, Jason Witten, Dallas Cowboy legend being one of them. All the new players that have come to OU via, I guess, high school and the transfer portal. Some big names, obviously, with that Oklahoma transfer portal class. Not to mention OU Pro Day. So we got to hit a little bit of everything. Monday, we show up and, I mean, the amount of people surrounding Jason Witten was it was shocking. I guess not shocking, but you know what I mean? Like, there's all these different availabilities, and everybody is flocking around a future NFL Hall of Famer. And Jason Witten, I thought, handled all the questions terrifically. I mean, he was a joy to talk to. I think he's really excited about this opportunity. Let's hear a little bit about him talking about how not all players, or really good players, become really good coaches.
A lot of players don't become good coaches just because you experience it, and it's like me when I play golf, I'm getting a lesson, hit it like this. I'm trying to hit it like that. I can't hit it like you, You got to teach, you got to study it, and you got to articulate, why am I successful? How are we going to do that? You got to put pen to paper. You got to find how kids learn. You got to know what their strengths are, the things they got to improve on, and you got to put a plan in place for them. And so I think that was one of the things that allowed me to be a successful player was, not that I wasn't talented, but I certainly wasn't the most talented. And to find an edge was get the answers to the test before the test and constantly finding ways to create an advantage for yourself. And I think that's what coaching is, giving your players an advantage, constantly teaching them, and techniques, scheme, the mentality that it takes to be successful in this league week after week. That's something I have a lot of confidence in my ability to teach that.
You can definitely tell that he's coming from high school. He kind of has that high school mentality. I think he views this job and views the game at like a very basic level. Like, let's teach everyone how to do this at the very highest level that they're capable of doing it. And he still has a tremendous amount of joy about the game.
Yeah, I think the high school mindset, like you said, I think that will be really interesting to see, because I feel like a lot of times you see a coach come from, either an NFL or just a
big
higher,
university.
Yes,
or
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that'll be really fun to see how he works with this group of players. I mean, just the talent at a Division I university is going to be probably a little bit better than a high school, but it'll be fun to see how he manages that and, brings that mindset. And
he also said he's turned down NFL jobs and took this one, and one of the big reasons why he took this one was Brent Venables, and he said Brent Venables loves football more than anybody I've ever met. So that's a pretty bold statement for Jason Witten, who's, been around some of the biggest names in football. So that was pretty cool. OU had their pro day earlier this week as well, as former Sooners get ready to impress NFL scouts and continue through this NFL draft process. Let's hear from a couple of the standouts.
I'm living my dream, and it's just like me, my family, my mentor, like we always just, like they had that vision, and they believed in me before I believed in myself. And knowing that I see that now and I'm living it, I just thank God every day.
It's been incredible, honestly. It's just such an incredible blessing to be in that position, to be able to go to Indy and compete at Pro Day. It's a little surreal, but it's the stuff that you've always dreamed of as a kid, and so it's pretty cool to watch it happen.
I felt like it was a good day. Obviously, everybody felt they got more in the tank, but with my story, my journey, I feel like just coming out here today and doing what I was doing, I feel like I showcased a lot, and like showing people that I could bounce back from things, and I like my mental and just everything that I went through that brought me to this point throughout this season and everything. I feel like just showing that today showed a lot about my character, so I'm pretty good about the day.
It was a solid day overall. I thought everybody at least met expectations, if not exceeded expectations. One of the most interesting elements of this OU draft class is running back Jaydn Ott, who obviously had giant expectations coming to Oklahoma, barely saw the field last year, made a splash at the Senior Bowl. We had some availability with Jaydn Ott, and he was asked what happened this year. Where did it go wrong?
Yeah, it was difficult, man. Being a competitor, I want to be on the field, but I think that I took a lot from it, a lot of learning lessons, and it might be like that in the league 1 year where I have to make practice squad or be on practice squad and still be able to contribute to the team and not come in the building and be in bad spirits. So it was a learning lesson. Yeah, there was just a couple of injuries, a little shoulder sprain in the fall camp. Kind of was dealing with it a little bit into the season. But, other guys, our other running backs were doing very well, and so it didn't really make sense to take them off the field. And so I just came in to practice every day and did my job and was ready just in case my name got called. But honestly, by the grace of God, just coming in every day, it took a lot mentally. Had to start off my mornings with devotions and then get myself into the right headspace, and then definitely end the night on it. But yeah, man, it was difficult. But being around this team and the guys on it, Team 131, it was a pleasure being around like-minded guys who had the same passion as me, and it was fun.
Question asked, question answered. It still remains one of the great mysteries, I think, of OU football. And in some way, how do you just not get a few more touches or opportunities, or I don't know. The whole thing is still very bizarre to me, but there you go. From Jaydn Ott, that's what happened last year. All right, we've got to take a timeout. It is Smash or Punt next here on The End Zone. All right, welcome back to The End Zone along with Cameron Johnson. I am Colby Daniels. It is time for Smash or Punt. We'll make a statement. If we agree with it, we're going to smash. If we disagree with it, we're punting it away. So first one out of the gate, this has been a popular topic all week long. Criticism over Bam Adebayo's 83-point game is warranted.
I kind of see where some people are coming from. Overall, though, I think I'm gonna say you said is warranted.
The criticism is warranted. Yeah.
I'm punt, but maybe I'm just
Okay.
not seeing it,
Okay.
the same way. I think overall what he did was impressive, whether you want to criticize the free throws or
Sure.
not. I mean, what are you going to do? Not try and score them. So I'm going to punt.
I think the amount of criticism is not warranted, but
Yeah.
when they started fouling to get extra possessions at the end, that's where I think it's warranted. So I have to smash this, but I feel like people are just mad that he passed Kobe, and some people just
Yeah.
want to pile on. And I want to punt it, but the way that they they fouled
Yeah,
at the
that's
end,
fair.
kind of like,
Yeah.
it was a little shady, I think, to get to 83, but he did it, right? He did
Yeah.
it. All right, smash or punt. If SGA never plays basketball again, he is a top 5 point guard of all time.
Answering that question right now after the games he's had, I'm going to say smash. I mean, you've got a player who scores consistently at a record rate now, but delivers time after time
Yeah.
with the game on the line. I'm going to say smash.
Let me say this definitively. Smash. SGA is right now a top 5 point guard of all time, MVP, Finals MVP, champion, on his way most likely to a second MVP. He's done things that nobody in the NBA has done other than Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. Name 5 other point guards right now that have the resume that SGA has, and you cannot do it.
Yeah.
Not to mention he's still building the resume.
Right.
SGA is
Yeah.
a top 5 point guard of all time. All right. The NFL draft is coming up in April. We just had the OU Pro Day. The Sooners will have 3 or more players drafted in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft.
3. I'm going to say smash.
Okay.
I think just watching between the Combine and Pro Day, I think every Sooner I've seen for the most part has boosted their stock. I think it might be close, but I'm going to say smash.
I think it's kind of right on the line. I'm going to go smash as well. I think R. Mason Thomas is a lock. Deion Burks, I think, is a lock on day 2. And then Grayson Halton, I believe, will be a day 2 draft pick. That's the one that maybe is up in the air round 2, 3, 4. But I'm going to go smash as well. I think 3 Sooners will be gone by the time Friday night ends. All right. OU has retooled the passing offense. A lot of new weapons for John Mateer, which we met earlier this week. OU will have a top 5 passing offense in the SEC this season.
I'm going to say smash, but I think it all hangs on what John Mateer we see.
Okay.
I think is going to be kind of the determining factor. But like you said, you've got the weapons there. If he comes back and plays his best game, like the best moments of what we saw last year, I'm going to say smash.
Young offensive line will be a year older.
Yeah, experience.
Healthy John Mateer. I think you add some actual playmakers at the tight end position. Trell Harris, Parker Livingston, on top of Isaiah Satania as pass catchers. That's one of the best trios, I think, in the entire conference. Smash all the way. Give me the OU passing game in year 2 of the Ben Arbuckle system to be a top 5 passing offense in the SEC. We may be revisiting this later, and we'll be completely embarrassed, so I'm going to save it. All right, that's Cameron Johnson. I'm Colby Daniels. It is the closing argument next here on The End Zone. All right, welcome back one final time as we wrap up the show with Noble McIntyre, attorney at law. It is time for the closing argument this week. So earlier in the week, something historic happened in the NBA. Bam Adebayo with the Miami Heat broke Kobe Bryant's modern day single game scoring record of 81 points. He scored 83. The record is held by Wilt Chamberlain with 100. But a lot of people are really upset about how this thing went down, how he got to 83. So I guess my question is a 2-part. Is the criticism over Bam's 83 warranted? And should we in sports put asterisks next to maybe records that are obtained in a shady way?
Look, it's a manufactured milestone. It would be like a lawyer saying they were undefeated in trial if they'd never tried a case before. And you have your star in 30 points up, you're feeding him the ball, you're fouling intentionally, he shoots 43 free throws. Of course that was manufactured. It's hard to compare that to Kobe, which was in the flow of the game and you're trying to win. Now, that being said, there's no film that exists of Wilt's 100-point game.
Right.
And you and I both know in the fourth quarter when they're getting close to 100, they were doing the same thing.
No doubt.
So, yeah, I do think we already have asterisks in some respects, or unwritten asterisks. You've got the one of, Babe Ruth's record for 60 home runs was beat by Maris, but Maris had 8 more games to do it.
That's right.
And it's not an apples-to-apples comparison.
Yeah, I think in all sports, when you get close to a record, there is a concerted effort to obtain the record. I don't know where you draw the line. Fouling the other team so that you have extra time for possessions, to me, is not necessarily the way to go about it. But, I mean, Russell Westbrook's triple-double year, right? There were guys getting out of the lane so he could grab an extra rebound here and there. I mean, it happens almost in every single record that we've ever seen.
The Westbrook deal is a little different. It plays out over the course of the year. You're right. But at the end of that 83-point game, I think every player that watched that was interviewed later said, look, I don't know what to think about that. 43 free throws, and
That's
they're
tough.
feeding him the ball, and they're fouling intentionally. He's in the game up 30. I mean, there's an unwritten sports code, and they broke it. They broke it to get there, so it's a little hard to respect that. It's still impressive, and 20 years from now, people are going to think it's amazing, but the people today that saw it, not so much.
And nobody was chanting free throw merchant. I know that.
Exactly.
All right, that is this week's closing argument. For Noble McIntyre, I'm Colby Daniels. We'll see you next week.